Warning. The video you are about to watch contains details of violent crimes committed against children, which may be disturbing to some viewers. This video is for informative and awareness purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to our chilling journey into the twisted world of true crime. Today, we delve into the disturbing case of Tsutomu Miyazaki, also known as the anime killer. Prepare yourselves for a spine-tingling experience as we explore the darkest corners of a deranged mind. Tsutomu Miyazaki was an unassuming figure in Japan, but behind closed doors, he harbored an unimaginable darkness. Born in 1962, Tsutomu Miyazaki seemed like an ordinary child. However, his fascination with anime and a traumatic childhood laid the groundwork for his terrifying transformation. Miyazaki's obsession with anime took a dark turn. He became consumed by a blurred line between fantasy and reality, creating his own twisted world. From an early age, Miyazaki faced difficulties in forming social connections, which led him to develop feelings of isolation and alienation from his peers. He became increasingly introverted and withdrew into a world of fantasy, particularly through his obsession with anime and manga. Miyazaki's fascination with anime, horror films, and violent content influenced his already troubled mind. During his time in college, Tsutomu Miyazaki engaged in disturbing behavior that included stalking and taking pictures of women without their consent. These actions reflect his increasingly deviant and invasive tendencies, contributing to the overall portrait of a deeply disturbed individual. As he entered adulthood, Miyazaki's mental state deteriorated further, and he found it challenging to relate to others on a meaningful level. This deep sense of social alienation, coupled with his distorted views of relationships and sexuality, likely contributed to his decision to act upon his violent and perverse urges. In the late 1980s, Miyazaki embarked on a chilling spree, abducting and murdering young girls. He took pleasure in his heinous acts, leaving behind a trail of terror and grief. Miyazaki's victims were young girls, often between the ages of 4 and 7. He carefully selected them from various locations, including parks and residential areas, choosing those who appeared vulnerable and unsuspecting. Miyazaki would isolate his victims, manipulating their trust and luring them into his grasp. With calculated precision, he snatched them away from the safety of their families and into a nightmarish realm of horror. Tragically, the innocent lives that fell into Miyazaki's clutches would suffer unimaginable horrors. Their cries for help went unanswered as they became victims of his sadistic fantasies. Mari Kano. Mari was a 4-year-old girl who was abducted on August 22, 1988, while returning home from a friend's house. Miyazaki convinced her to accompany him, and he took her to a secluded area where he sexually assaulted and strangled her. Masami Yoshizawa. Masami, a 7-year-old girl, was abducted on October 3, 1988, while returning home from school. Miyazaki lured her into his car by offering to show her a video and took her to a remote area. There, he assaulted her, strangled her, and mutilated her body. Erika Namba. Erika was a 4-year-old girl who was abducted on December 12, 1988, while playing outside her home. Miyazaki kidnapped her and took her to a secluded area, where he sexually assaulted her, strangled her, and engaged in necrophilic acts with her corpse. Ayako Nomoto, Ayako, a 5-year-old girl, was abducted on June 6, 1989, while walking home from a friend's house. Miyazaki lured her into his car by offering her a ride, and he took her to a mountainous area. There, he assaulted her, strangled her, and mutilated her body. Please approach this content with sensitivity and respect for the victims and their families. Remember that these innocent lives were tragically taken, and their loved ones continue to grieve. The police were baffled by the brutal murders. Miyazaki carefully covered his tracks, playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse with the authorities. The aftermath of these unspeakable acts, investigators would uncover disturbing remains, a horrifying testament to the depths of Miyazaki's depravity. The scenes were etched with the traces of unspeakable violence. Determined to bring justice to the victims and their grieving families, a relentless pursuit for the truth began. The search for the monster behind these heinous acts would grip the nation with fear and anticipation. Finally, the veil of darkness lifted when Tsutomu Miyazaki was apprehended. The nation recoiled in horror as the face of the anime killer was revealed, a man whose twisted desires had wreaked havoc on the lives of innocent children. Finally, in 1989, the Reign of Terror came to an end. Tsutomu Miyazaki was arrested, and the true extent of his atrocities was revealed. The trial was a shocking spectacle, revealing the twisted mind of Tsutomu Miyazaki to the world. His cold, calculated demeanor sent shivers down the spines of all who witnessed it. Miyazaki's case sent shockwaves throughout Japan. The nation grappled with the horror that had unfolded within their midst. The case opened a window into the disturbed psyche of Tsutomu Miyazaki. Experts analyzed his chilling artwork and diary entries, attempting to understand the depths of his depravity. As investigators delved into the twisted world of Tsutomu Miyazaki, they uncovered a peculiar aspect of his dark persona. Miyazaki referred to himself as the Rat Killer, a chilling self-proclaimed title that added another layer of horror to his crimes. The significance behind Miyazaki's chosen moniker resided in his disturbing symbolism and obsession. Rats, often associated with disease, filth, and darkness, became a macabre representation of his own malevolence and the darkness that consumed him. In the twisted labyrinth of Miyazaki's mind, he believed that he was exterminating the vermin that infested society. He saw himself as a self-appointed vigilante, driven by a perverse sense of righteousness. Psychologists who examined Miyazaki's case identified his obsession with rats as a manifestation of his inner demons and his distorted perception of the world. This deranged self-image provided him with a sense of purpose and justification for his atrocious acts. The moniker the Rat Killer spread like wildfire, seeping into the collective consciousness and deepening the terror that gripped the nation. It symbolized the darkness within Tsutomu Miyazaki, intensifying the horror associated with his crimes. As we dive deeper into the twisted psyche of Tsutomu Miyazaki, we uncover the chilling factors that led to his heinous acts. Miyazaki's obsessions and desires melded with his distorted perception of reality, driving him to commit unspeakable crimes. In seeking his victims, Miyazaki targeted vulnerable and defenseless young girls, exploiting their innocence and trust to lead them away from their homes or playgrounds to secluded areas where he could carry out his horrific acts. Miyazaki's heinous crimes were fueled by a combination of his distorted fantasies, lack of empathy, and an insatiable desire for power and control over his victims. His ability to manipulate and deceive those around him made it challenging for anyone to suspect the darkness that lurked beneath his seemingly ordinary facade. Ultimately, it was this sinister combination of psychological factors that drove Miyazaki to become the infamous otaku murderer. Today, Tsutomu Miyazaki's name remains synonymous with fear and horror. The legacy of his crimes serves as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk within even the most unassuming individuals. We have ventured into the nightmarish realm of Tsutomu Miyazaki, the anime killer. May his tale serve as a cautionary reminder that evil can manifest in the most inconspicuous forms. As we bid you farewell, remember to keep a watchful eye for the specters of darkness that may lurk just beyond your sight. Stay safe, and brace yourselves for our next bone-chilling adventure.